Hello, hello. Come on in. Hey, Roxanne, how are you? You're the first one in the room. Welcome. I'm just waiting on one of my friends is going to come in and guest today. Hi, Lucy. How was everyone's weekend? We did. I had a choreographer in town this weekend, and I just got him to the airport a couple hours ago. I see. Here comes Michelle. Hello, my friend. How are you?
I'm good, Nav. How are you doing? I'm so much better.
You sound way, way better.
It
Way
was
better.
the struggle bus was real. Woo.
So, yeah. Oh, fun, Lucy. That sounds like exciting. I'm not, I don't get my getaway for a couple more weeks. I need a vacation.
Hey, I understand that. Shoot.
Yeah, yeah.
You'd think that having COVID was a vacation. It was not.
No, it was just forced sleep.
For sure, for sure.
Right.
Hello, Jess.
So I thought we'll wait for a few more people to get in here, but yeah, so today's topic, I called it uh, testing, is this thing on? And so like when spirit is trying to communicate to us how we're receiving, not only just like how we're receiving, but are we listening?
That's the key. Are we listening?
Yeah, because sometimes, they're talking to us, they're screaming at us, and we're just like, gosh, I wish I had a sign.
Yes, there's so many. They're like the amount of I've been asking and I don't know. And that human mind comes in and we just debunk everything. It's like, yeah, I gotta turn you up a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I've had, readings where people don't hear a single message because they put out in the universe that the only way they'll know it's real is if they get a specific thing said.
Yes. Yes.
Right, Jess. Yep, pretty much. Hi. Exactly. So yeah, just like learning to, but so yeah, I've had that a number of times, and then I circle back, and they're like, "Oh no, actually, now that I've listened to it, literally everything made sense."
Yes, I am. That's so interesting. I just actually had an interesting reading, my first reading in like 3 weeks yesterday. And the lady was super awesome and it went really well. And I'm sitting here and I guess maybe prior to coming in and me connecting, I was like, I just need a sign that I'm connected today. Don't you know that in the reading, I had the knocks on my wall? I said, nah, I did it. Nah. And then it happened again. I said, okay, the spirits are here. And it was just, we still do it, even being active mediums and psychics. Yes, we know it's there, but because we know that things can be so woo woo in spotlight, we tend to go, okay, did something fall? Like that's where our mind goes. And then we're like, well, no, nothing fell. And then it happens again and you're like,
Yeah. Well, and yeah, I'm definitely of that mundane before magical mentality, right? I mean, you do want to try to debunk yourself before you go buying into all the stuff. But I just had recently, there was a friend that I had just kind of lost touch with. We're just different lives, different vibes. And I kept thinking I was seeing him places, and it was just weird. And I kept hearing the name of a friend because I had done a reading for him. And I kept hearing the name of his friend who I knew had passed that was very important to him. But I wasn't connecting to like that person, but I kept hearing that. And then a motorcycle would ride by, and I would swear it was him. He lives in a whole other state. Like, and I'd be
The
like,
spirit's like, hey, pay attention.
not only that, but they'd be riding along and looking over and directly at me while driving. So I finally was like, oh, maybe I should like reach out. And I did, and I'm glad I did because uh, he's having some really bad health issues, and he was on my radar. And I'm like, you want to know who sent me? And told him his friend. He was like, no way. So, and yeah, he was like, honey, guess who came through? She's like, what? So, so you have to, you're right. Like even as mediums, we don't always like believe it
So for me,
necessarily.
I'm so sorry. So for me too, I don't know how you feel about this, but when people say, hey, look at this picture or look at this video, and at first, initially when I was really young, I'd be like, oh, look at all that. Look at that. Oh, but now I'm like, is that a dust particle? Did you clean your lens?
Right.
But even in, it's not basically turning your head away from spirit. It's just you don't want to overreact to something that could be just so normal.
Yes.
And I've done that, especially, I don't know if you do this, but I've recorded myself in meditation and I've literally seen faces on top of my face form. And I was like, no, mm-mm. First I was like, no. Then I was like, yeah. Then I was like, no. So what I did, because I needed, another set of eyes and opinion, I sent it to 3 different people, different mediums, and everyone wrote back on it. And I was like, okay. But then they all said the same thing. Yes, spirit is right in front of your face. So that's the cool part about it, right? So it's not that we're turning our head away from it. It's just, we really want to make sure before we say something. Does that make sense?
Oh, it is. Before we just jump in and automatically assume that it is what we think. Oh, hi, Cheryl. Nice to see you. Thanks for popping in. Hey, and those of you who are in here, this is going to be a fun topic. You should share the live out and tap the screen. Keep me in the algorithms. But also, everybody, this is my friend Michelle, Rocket City Medium, as we know. She's pretty amazing. So if you're not following her, please make sure you're following. But she's just joining in for my little summer series, Chit Chat. And oh, Queen Bee, I've already muted you once to help save you from certain scammers. So I had to, it's only for 30 seconds, by the way, Queen Bee, just to take your question out. Oh, thank you, Janice, for being part of my team. So just know that it's not because I hate you or anything. I appreciate you. Just don't put your personal stuff in the chat, because we're not really doing readings right now. We are just doing a chit chat, talking about intuition. So how many of you, raise of hands, have gotten like an absolute sign and you don't realize until later? Like in the moment, you're like, nah. I'm going to just raise both.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Can I put my feet up?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, it's not uncommon. Like it's so easy to question ourselves. And yeah. And so I lost my train of thought. That was a serious ADHD moment right there.
It's okay. It happens.
It like left my head like
So
instantly.
basically, let's go back. We were talking about, missing signs or asking for signs and not really seeing them in that moment, right? That's what we were talking about. And that we all do it. It's normal. We all do it. And then I didn't know where you were going. So I just thought I'd recap it for you.
Right. Well, I'm not sure what my thought was. It must not have been that important, or it was untrue. Who knows? Or spirit was like, nah.
So, I actually taught kind of getting in touch with intuition, and clairs and all of that. And, one of the things that I think surprised everyone in one of the exercises that I did was our intuition, which is still receiving from the other side, psychically or whatever, right? It's that sign. They still doubted that. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because it's like, no, that can't happen. But it does. And then like you say, okay, well, granddad, or if you're with me, you have to show me something, a physical something. And sometimes that doesn't happen. It might be a song. It might be a smell. It might be a memory that pops in. It could be so subtle, and then we're just like, oh, that was coincidence. Well, I had somebody tell me many, many, many years ago, in this lifetime, there are no coincidences. Everything happens the way it's meant and when it is supposed to happen. So when we ask our loved ones, because they can hear us, to send us a sign, a for sure sign, and I've had people get feathers or see a cardinal, blue jays, or certain flowers all of a sudden they see and are, just certain things happen. It's the human mind that comes into play that says it's coincidence. That is not something. Nope, that's not it. And then they come see us and they're like, I've been asking for all of these signs and I don't know what's going on. And then we sit here and we go, your loved one over here is telling me that they sent you an eagle wing. Does this make sense to you? Or like a feather from an eagle wing? And their mouth drops on there and they're like, how did you know? I'm like, because your dad is telling me this, or we don't need to be that validation,
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes through, it's just knowing that is your sign. It's listening, but sometimes I'm hard of hearing sometimes. Let's just be real.
Yeah, guilty also. So what I usually tell people is if there's a song on the radio and it makes you think of a person, right? And you're like, oh, I wonder if that's from them. Yes, yes, it is. If your mind thought of that person when that radio played or when that song played, that is that sign, that because our loved ones are with us all the time. And so in those moments, we think about them and they are connected to us in that moment. So I know like one time I almost was in an accident and it would have been somebody else's fault. I mean, I had the right of way and luckily I just like super last second slammed on my brakes and I just barely missed getting hit. And as soon as I hit the brakes, it's like I got this whiff of air out of the vents that smelled like my grandfather's cologne.
Wow.
And I was like, ooh, thanks, Pop. Like I knew in that moment that he was there. And so what I also tell people is you assign the symbols too. I mean, so if, say, you're like, okay, I think of my loved one every time I see a butterfly, right? Or even the number 222. And then you see that thing. Now that's the thing they're going to let you know. They're going to let you know that they're around by sending those things into your line of sight.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love how Janice was saying, she would ask her daughter for signs. And she used to doubt them, but now there's no coincidences, and I believe that. I love that because listening to what we're receiving is a huge key in spirit communication.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we have to listen, and we have to not limit ourselves. So say you're on your spiritual journey and you're training, and you're like, well, my clair is clairaudient. Well, you've assigned that, but also they may make you feel something or make you see something or taste something, and you might blow it off or not catch on because you have labeled what your clair is. But spirit is so cool that they will give you what you need in that moment, like to recognize it. So when that happens, you just have to acknowledge the first thing. This is what I tell my students. First thing you hear is what you go with.
Yep.
Because the second thing you hear is your mind talking you out of the first thing you heard?
I tell them, I said, if you wait, your logical mind gets in the way. So whatever comes, just give. Just give it.
Yeah.
Whatever stimulus comes in, without processing it, just give, and that seems to help out a lot because the more we sit with it, the more our mind says, hey, oh wait, that's a Bert and Ernie doll, and oh wait a minute, no, you love Sesame Street. So then we start making stories up because the information's just sitting in here. It's like you know.
Right, right. So now, Babs, that's a really, actually, what's funny is, so Babs says, I'm reading the book Signs by Laura Lynn Jackson. It's so good. Talks about this exactly. Well, here's your sign.
Right.
Like, you seeing this is no coincidence,
Right.
right? It's just, this is something, just taking what you're doing, what you're reading, and putting it into a practice or putting it into live discussion, and like just aligning you. To you, it's like, oh, I was just scrolling on TikTok, right? Oh, hi, Lacey, or Lace. And you just take those signs from spirit as that you're supposed to pay attention. So crazy. I've started asking for signs from my mom recently. See, there you go. So to me, that is you finding this is your mom going, check this out.
Right.
Yep. I think spirit likes to show off sometimes.
Right, they do. They don't even, because they just like to talk. They're like, "Oh, you're listening now. You're here. Okay, yay!"
Yeah.
I think it's fabulous when they do that. So when you started on your path, or however long ago, because we all receive signs throughout our lifetime, right? So my question to you, Lorenda, would be, when did you start to truly pay attention? Are there certain key things that it was like, oh, I have a gut feeling about something and let me listen to it? Or, oh, wait a minute, because our guides guide us throughout our life. And those little moments that we get of like, oh, I shouldn't go down that street, it's not necessarily our intuition. It could be a guide talking to you as well, right? So it could be anything. However, when did you start to go, oh, wait a minute, like, what is this,
Gosh, not from that's a tough one because I would get hits, I would say as early as, oh, I know when. 8th grade, I was sitting in English class, and funny enough, coincidence enough, the same thing kicked up today outside in the weather. So I'm sitting in class, all of a sudden I look out, it's green. There's no tornado sirens, nothing. And I go, we're gonna have a tornado. But I knew, like there was something I knew. It was just raining. It was like no big deal. And they were like, no. So I mean, I was always shut down when I would know things. And sure enough, it didn't hit us, but like half a mile away it hit. It was like just like right around the corner where that tornado touched down and did quite a bit of damage. We were never told to go anywhere.
Wow.
No, that was the 80s. So,
well, yeah, back then it's like, hey, you're fine. So Tracy Lawrence, 808, I just love your name, by the way, because, anyways, it says, do you all look at everything as a sign? And he's saying he does, or don't. And so I have to come back and say, I don't, for the simple fact that I don't want to lose the balance between my human and my spiritual. So if it is a sign, a lot of the times I will disregard it and I will say, if this is a sign, it will happen again. And then it happens again. And then, so if it happens again for me, then it's like, okay, that's truly a sign and not my human brain just trying to be in the woo woo. I'm up here. And so I do, as a medium and a psychic, I'm probably the worst debunker that there is out on the face of the planet when it comes to signs. But it's because I don't want to be ungrounded. I want to still be grounded within my humanness and equal balance with my spirituality.
that is a really good point because as mediums, like there are times that I'm up here and it feels really nice to be up here. And communing with the spirits, but like the reality is we have to learn our human stuff. And so I'm the same way. I try to stay grounded when I'm not, working or working in that realm. And I do the same thing. Well, just like I was saying, I kept seeing signs from different people, and then even had a client named Tony, when I was saying that made sense with that person that I had to reconnect with or had to reach out to. And they sent me a client with the same name of the loved one that had passed. And I'm like, all right, what are you trying to tell me? And then I was like, but it took a couple different ones, as opposed to if I see something, because knowing full well that person is alive and well, that, oh, cool, wonder what they're up to. But then I kept seeing stuff and every time I followed up on things like that, when you get that second, third sign, I'm never disappointed at all. Because it's usually something legitimate,
It's interesting that when I train, when I coach, mentor, or teach,
Yeah.
and I have someone who's asking me questions, there's a lot of the time, I still do this to this day. If there's something, let's say in a reading that Spirit is bringing me, and it comes in once and I'm like, I'm not sure about that. So I send it back to them, right? Mm-hmm. If it comes in again, I'm like, okay, I wasn't feeling confident in it. So let me just send it back one more time. I have the rule of 3 for whatever reason. So when it comes back the third time, I'm like, okay, I've seen this 3 times now. This is what I'm seeing. And this is what I feel with what I see, or how it's coming in maybe audibly or whatever. One time I was giving a reading, and so where I'm sitting right now, there's a window right here, and it looks in my neighbor's house, not in it, but the side wall. And never are there any birds over here at all, period, whatsoever. I was with this client, and a red cardinal came onto my window and perched. And I said, okay, it flew away. I just let it go. And I said, if it's meant to be, and if it's a true sign, it will come back. Sure enough, it came back and it did the same thing. And I said, okay, that's coincidental because I'm human. I want to be human right now before I start bringing this up. And on the third time it came over and it pecked the window. And I said, would you understand the significance of a cardinal for your loved one on the other side? And their mouth dropped to the floor. I said, because I have a cardinal that's been to my window 3 times now, and now it's pecking. And she goes, I asked my mom to send that during the reading.
And see, and had you been like, oh, that was just a coincidence, and just blown it off,
correct,
then you would have never delivered that message. I'm the same way. If I get a message that comes in that I'm like, I don't know, was that me? Did I get that? I do the same thing. I have the rule of 3s, and they know by the 3rd time I will honor it and I will say it out loud. And it never fails. It actually usually is something important and profound for them. But I'm glad that I sat on it and waited for it to come through, in that way. So I knew also there was depth, there was something really important about it. So now somebody had asked, I sense signs, but they're unaware how to interpret them. Any guidance on how to interpret them? That's a tough one.
Yes.
Because that's individual.
It is. It's how do you feel about it? Our feelings about whatever we're experiencing in that moment is a stimulus that we as humans must pay attention to. So when you're receiving a sign, what is that feeling you have in your heart in that moment? Are you feeling your loved one? Are you feeling like this? I know for sure this is granddad, mom, dad, brother, whomever's on the other side. Or is it, I asked my guides to show me this and here it is. It's what do you feel? Because a lot of the time we don't listen to the feeling part of our own soul.
Right. That is very true. Just check in with you. And I'll tell people if they see numbers even, to just check in with yourself first.
Yep.
And if nothing is vibing there, do a full 360. Take in everything that you see that's happening around you. If you feel like you're getting a sign, because it may make sense later. But yeah, I like you check in here first, like what's happening here.
Yes. It's always a self check-in.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
used to say check up from the neck up, but being a medium, you can't really check up from the neck up anymore because you're all up here. So I'm like, oh, just do a full body scan. How are you feeling? What's going on? I'm like, come on, you know. Someone was asking something, and I think this is a really good question because it does play into, are we listening?
Yeah.
Right? So if we have somebody that is an overthinker, and I've had a couple of these students and people that I've mentored, overthinking, right? Overthinking everything that they might be receiving because they need to know why. They need to know the definition. They need to know, well, how come that is that way and it's not this way? Being inquisitive as any kind of spiritual practitioner, shall I say, whether you're a psychic, a medium, a healer, whatever, is good. Because the more you are inquisitive, the more spirit is going to just throw information in there for you to go, oh, I get it. And even though that takes place because I'm an overthinker, you're still going to receive what you're supposed to in that moment from them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. Same, Angela. I am too. I'm an overthinker, and that and that honestly, that's what took me so long to get into this work. I was overthinking, overanalyzing. I had psychic after psychic after psychic, starting when I was like 20, saying, "You're gonna do this." Like, no, I'm not.
You're like, no.
Yeah. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I have visions of Jeff Foxworthy. Here's your sign.
Oh my God, I was just about to say that. Get out of my head.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is easy to overthink and to overdo it. And even with numbers, and somebody made a point, it's so confusing with numbers because you might see every website calls them something different. If you see 222, that's the angel number 2, but is the 2 you're focusing on, or is it the 222, which equals 6, and then that's a whole other thing. And then, or is it because there's 3 of them, or is it just the time of day, or like,
Yeah.
That's when I'd say when those things happen, take a moment and, like you said, self-check in, then scan your environment.
Just said something that really sparked something in my brain though. You were talking about the numbers because I used to do this. Okay. I'd get 1111. I'm like, okay, now 1111 it's a divine number. Okay. I got it. But then I would add up and I'm like, it's number 4. What is number 4 on the numerology chart? What does that mean? Because I truly feel this when we see these numbers in that moment. Yes, that meaning that's taking place with 222 or 123 or 345 or however the numbers are. When we add them up, in numerology is a hidden spiritual number, which also tells you, hey, this is maybe what you need to focus on right now in this moment. So divine is naturally giving you 2 ways of looking at it. So you have your numbers or your angel numbers, or, you can just put spiritual number out there too, and it'll pop in and tell you what it is. But if you add them up and you make them into one single digit, that's also the numerology number. And it can be a life path, an educational path. It could be something that you had. Oh my gosh, we are talking and the biggest butterfly just landed on my window.
Wow. That's one.
Wow.
Here's your sign.
It's huge. Okay. Anyway, so as as I'm saying this, here's your sign. When we add those numbers up, that means something else. And I figured, and this is how I kind of did this because I'm an inquisitive person and I overthink and I'm an overanalyzer. When I was first coming on my path, numerology really, it was my thing. I loved it.
Same.
It was just a thing. And I was like, okay, so so there's that. And that, oh dang, that really, I can understand all of this together now, because 90% of the time we're still going, huh? With the angel numbers or with this number, it's like, yes, Tracy, it was blue and black. So yeah, I don't know. That was just my little 2 cents on it. What is your feeling on that though? Like,
I think it all depends on the person. I am a big believer in spirit will bring you things that you can understand. If you don't do numerology and numbers aren't it for you, then they're not going to give you numbers to, to communicate. For me, I had, when I was a little kid, I remember it's so much. I tell you what, when I look back, I'm like, wow, I didn't know. Are you kidding me? I look back and I was trying to come up with a language all in numbers. Who knew?
Nuh-uh, get out of town.
I was trying to come up with a whole language using just numbers, and I was like, oh, as an adult, I was like, oh wait, that's called numerology.
You know, when I was a kid, this is so See, this nothing is coincidental here, people. This is not coincidental. We've not had this conversation prior. I'm a little like tripping over my tongue right now because I lived in Germany and we used to get the newspaper, and it's the Armed Forces now newspaper. And so when I would get it, Stars and Stripes, in there would be these nothing but numbers, just numbers. And you had to figure out what it said.
Oh, I'd be all over that.
And I was the only one in my family who could do it. And it took me, I was just like, oh, boom, 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 boom. So it was just like, what? So, yeah, that's really cool because I used to do that. That's how I used to write certain messages I didn't want anybody to know.
And that's exactly why I started doing it, because I wanted to be secret code.
Right? I'm just saying.
Yeah, yeah.
Hi, Callie.
And what's really interesting is I'm a tap dancer, and numbers and music and musicality are everything in tap dance. So I mean, like,
Yeah.
so and there's comfort in that. So spirit will align me to see certain numbers at certain. I see my birthday all the time. Just about every day, I look at the clock at 8:13
Oh, wow.
a.m. or p.m. Sometimes both.
Nice.
But I'm not even trying to. I'm not like, ooh, I think it's almost time. It's just like one of those, oh, dang, okay. But also there's other birthdays of those loved ones in spirit that if those birthdays pop up, I'm like, hi, Nana, or hi, Pop, hi, da, da, da. And I just know that it's them,
Yes.
because that's how spirit communicates to me, is through numbers. And sometimes if I'm trying to get a vibe on someone, like they'll put a number in my head, and then I'll know, oh, 4. Oh, they're grounded. So they're good. Strong foundation. Okay. I know how to engage in this conversation. So they will. If a 5 pops up, I'm like, ooh, how about some protection over here?
I'm putting up my barriers.
Yeah. Mama doesn't need any of that chaos.
Exactly.
So,
oh my goodness.
But it's just something that the spirit learned to communicate with me in that way early without me ever knowing it was spirit connecting to me and communicating. So I would challenge any adult in here. Also, it's funny that we were just talking about tap dancing, and my former artistic director just popped in, tap dancing historian. And I hope he's like on his way home. He's probably on the transit. He just flew out of here this evening. So, back to Boston.
Aw.
I know. But again, I think it's funny. I've mentioned tap dance and he pops in. No coincidence.
I don't know if you know this, but I was a dancer myself.
Yeah, you did tell me that. Yeah.
I'm like, there's so many things that are very similar. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. But yeah. Question.
Yes.
If you were to give the audience any words of wisdom on how to be receptive to what they are experiencing and accepting it, what would you say?
I honestly, knowing how I function, like now that you're saying it, go with the rule of 3s if you're not sure. Go with the 3s, because that's just One, could be coincidence in our humanness. Two, that was a little too weird. It was weird, but not impossible. Three, you can't fight it.
Correct.
So I honestly, I do tell people that. I'll tell people, ask for another sign.
And if it happens,
It happens again, and understand that it may not happen in the next 5 seconds.
correct.
You know,
That is a very true statement.
the time step is forever stuck in my head. Stop, hop, shuffle, step, full lap, full stomp. Hop, shuffle, step, full lap, full stomp. Yep. Tap, dancer, speak. I think I can tell you 3 times is true. Lewis Carroll. Oh, yes. There we go. Yeah, and so I think it's just, and yeah, that's honestly what I tell people is it ask for it again if you're not sure, and then ask again.
Mm-hmm.
And it is okay to put mundane before magical. There's nothing wrong with it, and spirit's going to understand that if you don't catch it that first time. I will say though, as I've been like leveling up, like I've had this really crazy shift in my energy frequency lately. Like I'll see, like I knew that butterfly you saw was black and blue. And I was like, and you know how I knew that? Because, well, I saw it, and then Patty Stovall came in, and Patty, well, Angela's also got the butterfly there too, but it's like I just knew that's what it was. I just knew, because Patty had popped in, and she never said anything, but I saw her come in. And then you saw that blue butterfly. So I just find it so fascinating, like those little things. But like I'm starting to get like weird stuff, and then immediate turnaround. It's like spirit's like, okay, are we done messing around now?
So, I had an interesting conversation the other day, and this goes along with listening. Are we listening, right? And things of that nature. So what I've learned from my experience throughout my time of being in the world of spiritualism, I've realized that there are peaks and valleys, right? Mm-hmm. And when those valleys are about to start to go right back up and we're doing that extra whatever spirit's working on us and we're hitting that next level, if you will, of frequency, I'm noticing that that's when the things that you're speaking of really take place. Yes. It's like, boom, okay. And what I've realized for myself is it always happens around this time of year. And then come October, for whatever reason, when our veil is real thin, once that Halloween time is like, ooh, okay, it will start to curve. But then right around the end of November, beginning of December to February, it goes right back up again.
Yeah.
That's what I've realized.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Susan. Susan's in here.
Susan. I love her.
My beautiful friend. I know, I love her too.
She's so awesome.
And that is very true. And some people think it's like seasonal depression, whatever. Like the trees are, like the leaves are, it's just cyclical, I feel like, but it is a rise and fall. And those are also things, if you are, they're coming, you're aware of those things, then you can do things to help yourself, right? Oh, hi, Amanda. And so you can be prepared for that. Like, all right, well, I'm going to buckle up. Here we go. What's up?
Exactly. What's next?
My hands are at 10 and 2. Let's do this.
Okay, I'm driving. Let's go. Jesus, take the wheel. No, I'm kidding.
All right, guys, you beat me to it.
I'm just saying.
That was funny. So yeah, but the awareness is good. So if you know those things are going to be in play, you can be aware of them, kind of cut them off at the pass a little bit. But also be aware, like you won't be surprised by those signs at certain times. because you just anticipate it's coming. So now for me, like what I've gone through the last few weeks has been just like, I'm like, seriously? Like, what the fuck? Like,
Yes.
really?
Hmm.
But with that, I'm glad that you said that because like with that, I can feel like I shake a lot. Like I'm like buzzing all the
Yes.
time. And
Right now.
I'm
Yes.
like, do I need
Yes.
to cut back on caffeine or is this like vibrational? The information that's coming in is insane with that because I feel like spirit's going, yeah, so those people are leaving your life because you're you're doing the thing.
Yep. You're making your own path.
And I love it when they show me why. Oh my gosh, what the heck? And I know it's real because it came literally out of nowhere. Hi, Carrie. Literally out of nowhere. So I'm going to be going to a retreat at Camp Chesterfield at the end of the month. So like in just a couple weeks. And they're like, you think you can, like, I just literally got this download. You think you can show up there for the trance class, the channeling, like the seance, all you think in all the high powered beings I'm going to be with in my class, my spirit salon class, I have to level, like I have to adjust. They're adjusting my
Frequency is being
vibration,
adjusted for what's to come. Hmm.
which means people are falling away. And I think it's funny that Carrie's in here because Carrie's been on this journey with me this week.
Oh, awesome.
Like sharing, like just be like, you're not going to believe what happened. So I love that Carrie came in. Love you, Carrie. Mwah. Um, but she's such a big support, such a big support. Fantastic medium too. So you guys make sure, even though if she's not in here, still make sure you guys are following Carrie. She's phenomenal. Love her. Yeah, some people are just good people.
Hmm. I do.
You know?
The ones you just feel them. It's just right here. You just feel them.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, she's one of them. She's one of my people. But that would totally, and that's the other thing. Another good way to realize that it may be a sign is that if you're not thinking about it's not on your something's not on your radar at all, you're doing something completely different, and all of a sudden you get a weird random thought in your head that should not have been triggered by literally anything around you, but all of a sudden you're thinking about someone or thinking about a situation, pay attention.
Yes, for sure.
Just take
The
note.
reason. Mm-hmm.
There, even if it doesn't make sense in that moment, it will.
Correct.
It will. Just like my friend, when that motorcycle dude, he was just getting ready to change lanes, but he looked over his shoulder and like looked me dead in the face. And I was like, I guess I better call him. And I gotta call him.
It's
And I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad I did.
so how would you okay, here we go. How many of us have, and I just kind of want to see a show of hands, how many of us have been doing something and all of a sudden you hear something, like along the lines of, well, you're meant to do this. And it starts with a you in the way it's phrased in your mind versus an I. How many of us have heard that?
Like just now, when I heard you're,
You.
you, that's a really great point because I didn't even pay attention to that, but I knew.
When, from my experience, when your guides or even your loved ones that are on the other side are trying to get a message to you, it will come across as you versus an I. Because when we're thinking of ourselves and we think in our minds, we're like, oh man, I got to do this and I have to do this and I can't, we make our lists of I's, right? And I've learned along the way that when you get that impression of you, it's a much stronger feeling that you get with that. And it resonates so deeply that it's like, okay, I hear you. I got it, and that is just something, my little sprinkle dust of what I wanted to just kind of say, because when it comes in that way, you'll notice a huge difference in the feeling that you get behind it as well.
Yes, the intention, the momentum behind it is different.
Correct.
Yeah. So, I mean, so maybe the people in the room that are like, I don't know how to tell the difference. Hopefully that's a great way for you to stop and go, wait, did I say I or was that a you? Because when I hear you, like when I hear it coming from like that, reference like that, I know it's my higher self. Or so in the past life regression stuff, we talk to the higher self, and it's cool because the person under is like, well, Joey really needs to blah blah blah. Like, and Joey's the client, but they're talking in third person, like their higher self, but it's coming out of their own mouth is speaking about them,
Yes.
and they usually have no memory, little to no memory of it.
Correct.
And so when you hear that, so that's a really good thing for you guys in the audience, in the chat, to consider, if it's, I like that because I don't think I'd really put that together in my own brain.
It took a long time for me to realize that's what it was. And I think the day that I realized it was, I had had a dream and I was like, oh, it was just a dream. That's not really going to happen. Come in threes at me. I'm just saying, right?
Right.
In the shower, I'm getting ready and I hear, you need to go see mom. You need to go see mom. And I was like, okay, I'm going to see her later anyway. So not a big deal. So I finished getting ready. And then all of a sudden and as this was coming, my phone was ringing at the same time. My mom was having a cardiac issue. So I was there. It was just, that is the day that it was like, okay, so the next time that I hear you, I will listen. I got you. Thank you.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
We're good. I got you. We're listening now. Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because even though you and I, like you said, we do this work, like this is our profession, and we still question.
Yes.
So for those of you in the chat that are just like feeling bad because you don't see the signs, or you look back, sometimes like say something bad happens, you look back and go, I should have seen that coming. I had all the
Knew it was
signs.
going to happen. I just didn't know for sure. How many of us have said that? I knew that was going to happen, but da 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 da. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that I started to listen a little bit more intently every time something comes in that way. The other one I know too is, and this is another one too that I don't know if anybody here is aware. Sometimes when we are impressed by guides or by higher beings, not ourself, not our higher being, especially for people who, I know we've seen it across TikTok, the channeled messages, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I've also learned along the way in listening to what's coming in is when a message is truly channeled, it is for the masses, not for one individual or one set of people. It's for all humanity. So, and I say that based on, I'm not talking like if you're doing a reading and it's like, okay, this is the message I'm getting for, the collective today. I'm talking like natural disaster type things. And I only know that based upon the tsunamis that took place, earthquakes that took place that affected people that I worked with, families and their loved ones, which expanded, right? So it was a ripple effect in that. So when that, 9/11, those kinds of things, when those took place, that's when I realized that impression you feel when it involves pretty much everybody on the planet,
Right.
it's not, it's listening to that. Yes. Is it one of those, like, what do I do with it? Why do I have this information? Is this really going to happen? And then we just kind of discard it, right? We're just, whatever. But then when it happens, you're like, I knew that was going to happen. I knew that was going to happen. Why didn't I listen to that? We can't change the outcome, but what we can do is be there for those people that have experienced the losses and need our assistance. And I feel for us in the community that when we do get those messages, a lot of us don't speak about it because we can't do anything about it.
Right. And see, I tell spirit, I don't want to know. If I can't stop it, don't show me. If I can't, if there's nothing I can do, don't put that burden on me. If even just down to a single person, like one person, do not show, I don't want to see the end of their existence. Do not show me that unless I can give them information to prevent it. And I've had that happen twice
Yes.
that I've seen it. And I jumped, I acknowledged it. And
It's one of those that's a touchy subject too, because that goes into that ethical code, right?
exactly.
So it's not that, oh, we know someone's gonna, I'm just throwing this out there. Don't hold it against me. I'm not saying it's not that we're gonna go, oh, you're gonna pass over or whatever. Sometimes the information, and I realized this too back in 2017, information comes to you maybe about said person, whether it's for you to act upon the information or just know you're going to need to be that strength for whomever in that moment. And for me, when it happened, I had to be the strength for some of my really good friends and, coworkers and bosses and things like that. I mean, it was really intense to see my boss collapse and I had to catch her, like when that situation took place. I knew it was going to take place. There wasn't anything I could say or do about it. However, I knew in that moment, okay, Michelle, be prepared. You know what's going to take place. You need to be there for them so you can help guide them. And that's what I did. And I think it takes a special kind of something to do that, to be honest, because not everybody can handle that kind of information personally, humanly. Let me put it that way.
It's a lot. I mean, that's a lot to bear.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And if you, I see what you're saying, Angela. Yeah. I mean, and even if, okay, so say Michelle knew 9/11 was going to happen. Okay. She saw the whole thing. What's she going to do? Go tell the mayor, the guy, the president, like what are we can't, well, hey, so I'm a medium.
So I have a story about that.
Oh, do tell. But I forgot. I mean, I understand, like you may have.
I do have a little bit of story on it. Can I share?
Not a feeling, but Susan, I do. Oh my.
Okay, so I know a lot of you guys know I was born and raised in Germany, right? So I've been a lot of my life back and forth since I've been an adult. And when I worked in Germany, I worked in this little concern called the Seckenheim Hammonds Barracks. That's where I worked. And 9/11's first year was coming back around, the anniversary of 9/11. And I remember going into, because on the base, there was this little shop where you get, water and whatever you needed. And I walked in and immediately before I got to the doors to go in, I was like, ooh, something's not right. Something's not right. I don't know what it is. Our regular clerk was not there. And I thought, oh, that's odd. Okay. The next day, same thing happened. And I thought, oh, this is really weird. I got that same feeling just throughout my body. And again, what am I supposed to do with this? I have no idea, right? So I'm like, okay. I went to work and going through the gate at this particular day, they were doing ID card check and checking your car from top to bottom, underneath everything. So something somewhere was leaked, which I was not privy to, right? So, okay. Ooh, my ear is ringing. And so as I'm, going through this, I remember going back downstairs. I went to go get juice. And that day it was 9/11. And that day I went to go get the change and that person just dropped the change, wouldn't look at me. And I said, are you okay? Is everything fine? She would not answer. She wouldn't do anything. And I said, I, being who I am, because I work for the government, had to go back upstairs. And I said, you know what? I said, I told every boss on that floor something wasn't right until somebody went downstairs. My boss went downstairs. I am sitting at my desk and immediately the MPs, the military police, were notified. She had pipe bombs in her car that were parked 3 cars down from my vehicle that could have destroyed both the army base and the German army base at the same time. It made national news. But it's because I received that information. You see what I'm saying? I ignored it, I ignored it, I ignored it. And then I said, I have to say something
Yeah.
because it would have impacted myself. It would have, well, it's not about me, but it would have impacted everybody on that concern. And there were probably, I think, 800 people just on that concern, not including the German concern next door and the German housing area that was around it, you know? So in those instances, I have to tell you, was it ethical for me to do what I did and tell them how I got that information? No. But did I do it? Yes. So
Yeah.
sometimes we are faced with that. And I'm like, if I have to face consequences, I'll face them. But our lives matter.
Yeah.
That makes
Right.
sense?
Oh, it does. It does. Wow, that's crazy. And I could see that though. I could see how you would be like, oh, okay, but that was third time.
Yeah.
Ru-
Yeah.
Rule of threes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. It was,
Wow.
it's a thing, you know, and when we say listening, and this is what this live was about, listening to what you're receiving. And sometimes we do go into the human side and go, nope, it's not there. Nope, that was just coincidence. Nope, it's this. Even though our spiritual side goes, there are no coincidences. But in our logical mind, we're like, show me again. Cletus, you got to show me again. And then the next time comes around, you're like, okay, that's three. Okay, it's for sure. You know, it's just one of
Right.
those things. And being able to differentiate the difference between the human process versus the spiritual awareness is also a very fine line, you see? And if we just give it back to spirit, they're smart enough and they will give us something else.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's you just have to also not just trust yourself, but trust spirit is gonna make sure. And you were not like in that moment, you felt the
Oh, yeah.
and I think if it wasn't yours to tell anybody, you would not have been there would be you would have not seen those signs,
Correct.
you know. So and I'm not a person who if I walk by someone and get a hit on something like their loved one might come through if my guard's down, but I'm not gonna go up to them be like, so I'm a medium.
Right. No, no,
Mm-mm.
no. Don't ever. Mm-mm.
But that with the rule of three, that's big, and it worked out. And what's the worst that could have happened? They say
Me, if I
nothing,
didn't know
they
anything, that could have been the worst that could have happened, you know?
I know that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it had by saying something to them, what's they could just blow you off, right?
Correct. Correct.
You know,
Which, you know, it does happen. Let's be honest. I mean, in this line of work and just in general as us people that are, you know, in tune or spiritually connected, there are times where people just blow it off as, well, I don't believe you. And that's fine. However, a lot of times when things just reoccur and it's reiterated, eventually, you know, they listen.
yeah. I mean, I did the only time I've seen. Oh, hi, Miss Molly. Another awesome practitioner. Um, the only time the two times I've been shown end of life. I'm trying not to say the D word because I don't want to get
I understand.
demanded.
Mhm.
Um, and the first time it happened because I had the deal with my guides. I told them I could see them. I showed them, or I was shown like what was going to happen to them, and it was a domestic abuse kind of situation. And I was like, this isn't. There's something wrong. Like you need to do. And I was like, I'm telling you. And I would rather be wrong all day long. And she's like, okay, but she'd been in this abusive situation for that's what she knew, and I hated that for her. And then I get a call from a friend of mine like 2 years later out of nowhere, and she's like, gosh, we need to reconnect. Yeah, I was thinking about you because I just got back from a funeral. But oh yeah, oh wait, I think you read for her. And she
Mhm.
told me how she passed, and it was exactly what I told her was going to happen. And it was sad. It's so sad. And hi Heather. Um, and so here's how I tell people: if I'm getting that hit, and like you're gonna perish falling off of a cliff tomorrow, that means I was given the information so you could avoid going to the cliff tomorrow.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
don't
That's
go to the
that's a true
cliff.
statement. That's a very true statement because Spirit's not going to give you something that, okay, that's not 100% true. I've been in
Right.
lots of different situations and scenarios, right? But if it's something like that, um, Spirit will give you the information to just warn them to be careful, or maybe don't go or postpone it. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Because at no point do they go, and you're going to, or, flames. Mm-mm.
Right.
But they'll give me tell them not to go the cliff way, go the different way.
Maybe the government can do the rule of three too.
Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't it be great?
Sorry, we're just saying.
Yeah, just saying, like somebody needs to step in here.
Man.
Yep.
Oh, Lord.
Yep. So, but yeah, I mean, if people listen to that more often, I think more people had that take, I think a lot of things would be different. But also, the reality is not every single person comes to this planet with the intention of knowing things ahead of time.
Right.
Just because we are wired to do it doesn't mean we're supposed to be engaging in that wiring
Correct.
to do it.
Right.
It just may not be our path. Maybe we chose to come down here and see what it's like to be absolutely non-spiritual.
Right. That we absolutely could do that too. It just depends.
And it
Yep.
could be like we could be on the other side going, I feel like I'm going to teach like all these people lessons. I'm going to go ruffle some feathers and they're going to come down and like wreak havoc,
It's
you
craziness,
know?
but yes, for sure, for sure. I mean, ultimately, listening or just kind of listening to that awareness or that shift that you receive internally is very subtle. It's a very, very, very subtle shift when you do get signs that maybe aren't a physical sign, internally to you with your loved ones. And it's just listening and feeling into that, doing that check-in. Um, how many of you guys got in your car and every time you got in the car, the same song was on over and over again? And it might be, something that maybe you listened with somebody or reminded you of somebody. And the whole time you've been asking, hey, where's my sign? And, here's your sign. You're right. Here you go. But it's not just that, it's understanding when you feel that you do feel a shift internally when you know that it is definitely spirit driven.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But it also, it takes time to develop
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Nobody is just I should say nobody, very few people in the general population go, oh, a little shift in myself. Okay, that's spirit.
Right.
You
It takes
know,
a while to understand that.
yes, yes. So it makes y'all feel better. Any of you that are like, I never understand, I never feel that. It was a learning process for us. Like, I ignored this for years.
I just felt impressed to say something. So, how many of you know when you pluck a string on a guitar, that little vibration that just sits on that string until it's done, and even the sound is still gone, but it's still vibrating? Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Have you ever, you know what I'm talking about? I would not have put this together, but okay. So, spirit and messages is initially you hear that ba-ting, do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. But spirit is still always around, so that vibration is always there. So the next time it comes in, the next time it's plucked, it's just a little bit louder and it shakes just a little bit more. And It's understanding that your signs will come in subtly, but gradually become louder to you as the person. This is what I'm receiving actually right now in this moment. So I needed to share that because I would not have put that together. That is the weirdest analogy. But thank
I
you.
love that. I actually think it's funny because there's a music analogy that I use to explain frequencies
Oh, okay.
and and vibration and alignment with other people. Like they're just not playing the same note you are.
Right? Exactly. They may be a C and you might be an A. You just never know.
Right. And in between, you've got the line to the staff.
Yep.
So you could look up all day long, but you're not going to see anything but the ceiling.
Correct.
You got to go find the stairwell to go up.
Exactly.
Intentional, you know? So yeah, I use that. I love that. I like that. That's a really good way to put it with the guitar string and the vibration, that even though you don't hear it, the vibration is still there. And it can even send the ripple effects outward. Singing bowls.
Yes.
You could feel the vibration in a singing bowl, and even when it stops doing the thing, you can still feel it
Yes.
because that it's still there. It's still there. We all in different notes. Yeah, a lot of us are just playing. It's not that anybody's wrong. We're just playing different notes. So why do I not see the fields and stars in meditation?
Stairs. Because maybe you're not meant to.
Yeah.
Honestly, Tracy, anytime that we meditate, our meditation is not necessarily for visuals. Our meditation is to relax our mind, to be in a calm, centered place, to focus on your breathing and just allow what is meant to be. So sometimes you don't have to see staircases. You don't have to see the visuals that if you're being walked into one that's a guided meditation, it's not necessary that we need to see it. It's just knowing that it's there.
Right. Right. So I'm like, speaking of signs, I'm trying to figure out what they're trying to tell me, because I've seen a spirit and I've heard a spirit, and then I heard, but now I have no idea what they're. I'm recognizing that there's something here, but I don't know what they're trying to tell me.
Because I've got something here too. I'm like, what is going on? Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it just could be just like our vibration is where it is, and who knows. But
Yeah, I got masculine over here. How about you?
I don't know. I hadn't tuned in because I was like, "You're annoying me."
Just it's always it's just okay, thanks.
Uh, I almost feel like I feel like for me, it's more of like guide energy.
Masculine. That's my guidance.
Okay.
Like
You
because
see,
they're
oh yeah, and it's not Lily, and because over here it's usually feminine, but it almost feels it's beyond her. There's like a different guy. I don't know who it is though. And now I got the cold chills. So if I bust into like just start channeling and transfiguring, then
it's a thing.
it's a
It's a
thing.
thing. We've seen it. No, I'm just kidding.
Don't mind me. I'm just over here. Yeah.
It's just a thing. Yeah, it is. It's guide energy right now. Hi, Kat.
It is guide energy, and that could be that our guides are all in alignment right now, and they're trying to teach us something. We are learning. We are learning from each other. We're learning from people in the chat. We're want to hear your experiences, and so and then you and I. It's so crazy how you and I are so similar, so similar.
It's a thing.
It is. It is. But it just tells me like we're supposed to be learning. Do other people's guides visit each other?
Why not?
So my mentor, she'll tell it in class. She's like, yeah. So Dr. Buchanan, her main guide, was chatting with Dr. Mike, my guide, and so now I know what we need to work on today.
Yep.
So yeah, they like communicate with each other which would make sense because that's my mentor, right? So she's saying, all right, what do I need to do? Well, this is what you need to do.
Yep.
So how do souls become guides? I'm not sure. I know you have to be a higher vibration Oh,
That's a
I'm
good
sure
question.
Michelle knows.
I wouldn't say I do. I would just say what I'm feeling. Because it's never ever for me when someone asks questions like that. Information that comes in, I don't know, right?
And also, since guides are here, okay, everyone listen up. This is probably really good.
So once from what I'm feeling right now, when we go to the other side, when we go to the spirit world, when we are in the spirit realm, believe it or not, every one of us have been a guide at one point in our journey. It's the choice of returning back to the earth or to wherever we decide to go. That is a choice that has been made. So we all have the opportunity to guide from the other side.
Yeah, I do believe that too. Um, and actually, that class that I was in with you, the person that I partnered with, she ended up doing channeling intuitive writing and I ended up doing a whole TikTok on it. I forgot about it till like literally just now. Um, saying that guides are learning, we are teaching them by being human.
Yes.
It's an energy exchange. So they are learning how to be, as teachers, they are learning, and as just the same as we are. So it's an agreement. Like, and so we could have, like you and I could have been guides to, before as well, which I feel like I probably was.
All humans have been guides. All spirits on the other side have been guides. It just depends on how far back in the I can't speak. Okay, thank you. The ancestral lane it goes.
Right.
So it's thinking of your soul as we go to the other side. We're just kind of doing this motion. It's a continuous circle of energy. And that continuous circle of energy, it's like, okay, your number's here, let's go, this is what it's just that continuous flow. So I don't think, I feel. When I feel into that, I feel that as we make our decisions on what we're going to do on the other side, that we have all, I don't know why I feel like we've all been human. That's what I hear. We've all been human. We've all been human.
Mm-hmm.
There's no special test to become a guide. We've all been human. It just depends on how far back the ancestral line goes.
Right.
That's so weird. They're showing me this, like, connect the dots. It's really weird. I don't know what I'm seeing right now. It's really weird.
Just say what you see. It'll all make sense later.
So I'm
And
seeing this.
my ear's screaming at me right now. So I'm like, I'm listening.
So I have like this big energy and all the little lines that come off of the energy, which represents all of everyone. And each dot represents how far back in your ancestral. And so as it's recycled, you will go to the back of the line closest to the power source. And then everything will move up. And that's what they're showing me, because it's a continuous current. And so once your life here, your meat suit's over, as people say, and you start here, and then you do have a choice on which path you want to take. Do you want to stay as a guide, or would you like to return back? But you still have to go through this cycle of current, is what they're showing me, this energy. It's just really weird what I'm seeing.
I like it though.
That's what I'm seeing. Okay. My head is very floaty right now.
I love it, and that's probably why we were getting all those hits from the guides and the feeling, because they're like, oh, by the way, we have things to teach people.
Right?
Right, Susan? Yep, Susan knows. She feels all that crap too. Not crap, but she feels it too.
That was like a big epiphany, like everything that's up here right now. I feel like it was just like, here, we've just plugged right into you, and boom.
I love when spirit does that though.
That was really cool, because the way, oh my gosh, okay.
I was like,
A better way of explaining this is the nucleus of the cell. Inside the nucleus of a cell, you have your electrons and your protons. when you see the electricity bulge out from the center, right? That is what they're referring to as the pulsation of the way that our energy goes to the other side. That is the best way to explain it.
Interesting.
I am not scientific. Now, I don't know if any of that is true. I have to Google what a nucleus is.
No.
What is
You
that?
got your protons, your neutrons, your photons, I don't know. I forget. That was so long ago.
Okay.
But the pulsation makes sense. Like it was vibrating. I was feeling it.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, it does make sense actually.
Okay.
What's funny is right before you said, oh, I was starting to say, you're getting ready to get something else, right? I was like, you're okay. I was like, they're not done. They're not done is what I was thinking I should say. They're not done. And then you're like, and back.
Sorry. I
Oh, good.
apologize.
I love that. Hi, Miss J. No, I love that. But that makes, I just think it's funny that I literally started to say out of my mouth, I started to say, I guess we won't know until we get there how it really works. And then you were like, wait, my ear was like, shh, listen. I was like,
I can't say if it's for real or not. I can just say that I can't remember half of what came out of my mouth. So Lorenda, whenever you get this and download it, I would, if there's a way to send it to me just so I can listen, because it's the image is what I see permanently right now in my brain. You see what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
And it's fascinating. We are not going to know until we're completely on the other side, and that's for sure. And, so when things do come through, again, here's my skepticism, right? I'm going to listen with a grain of salt.
I feel like you should listen with a little bit more than the grain this time.
It's possible. It's very possible. But you see what I'm saying? That's the human in me, right?
I know, but I feel like with
the nucleus is the centralmost part of an object.
Yeah, and I knew that part. I just didn't know where the photons and the neutrons and the electrons and all the trons. I didn't know where the trons were. Hi, Michelle. So like
back to school or that stuff. I don't know.
But it made sense to me because I do remember like that starts here and the energy works outward into the cell. So that did make sense. The names were not, but I could see the energy you were talking about, which makes sense. Wow. I love it. I love it. I love it when spirit's like, pardon me, I have things to say.
Right. Just say hello.
Hello. Don't mind me. I'm just going to transfigure right now.
Right.
Yep. That's fascinating. And just fascinating that the guides that are showing up here in my space also were, I almost feel like it almost felt like a master guide, like a master teacher guide, which is what star feels like. Oh, okay. It was star. I was like, it's kind of like what star. And then she did the thing with they did the thing with my eyes where I kind of glaze over. Mm-hmm. I'm like, all right, just kidding. So it was star. I love star. Star. Oh, you know what's funny? So I've got all these cards here sitting here, and I don't know what, just out of pure need to put something in my hands, I just picked up the cards and look what's just popped up. The High Priestess. That was just there. That is hysterical. Okay, well, that was funny.
I'm having a deja vu moment right now.
Well, I think it's just we were trying to learn. I feel like that's something that's really, really important. And I think the 30 some people that were in here that got to hear that, they were supposed to hear it. I was supposed to hear it. You were supposed to hear it. Um, and that's just such a cool thing. And I'm going to download it and I'm going to put it on my YouTube so all 3 people that watch it there will get to see it too.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But that really does make sense.
Yeah, I have to rehear it because I don't know. I'm just, yeah. It's interesting. The entire last 3 days, my ears can hear sounds that nobody else can hear right now. Like I'm talking high, dog whistle octave, if not higher than that, is what I'm hearing.
You you don't hear that all the time?
Mm-mm.
Me looking for validation in my life. No, I always have that.
So I used to hear it on a constant growing up. I would be like, "What is that sound? Where is it? What?
Yeah.
No, what?" I have a visitor, and they literally just whispered in my ear. We're not doing that right now. Nope. Anyways, as a kid, I used to hear it all the time, and I'd be like, "Hey, what is the sound?" And then my mom would be like, "Nothing," but I could hear it. And then as time grew on, I was just like, "Hey, we just need to kind of chill this out," because it was a lot, right? And so recently, it's been even higher than what I typically hear.
Interesting. And do you think that's because I'm hearing it now, but I'm like, is this like
Like this.
it's really high, but I'm trying to decide if it's like I hear my husband doing something upstairs. I'm like, is it just something that he's doing that I'm hearing?
The whole life is about listening to things, and we're sitting here trying to debunk everything.
Debunk ourselves.
Now, if this isn't the truest of the true lives when we say mediums do this all the time.
And you know what's funny is I called this. I was like, is this thing on? That's what I originally put. It's in my original post. Is this thing on? Listening.
Oh, how funny.
And that's what it sounds like.
The whole life we've done that. The whole life.
The whole
We're
life.
like, what? No.
Oh, so Candy says she has her headphones on. She heard stuff. I hear that high pitched tune. I'm always thinking it's my, yeah, no, and I even had my ears checked Monday before magical, and they were like, nothing's wrong with you. I'm like, excellent. Not knowing what in the world it was.
Tracy asked that question. Did you hear something? You asked that earlier, Tracy? I'm confused. I didn't see that. I'm sorry. I didn't. Oh, we were, and I'm sure. Oh,
I know.
he always thinks it's a sign. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Things are getting crazy over here, Miss Ma'am.
Go right ahead.
I don't know what's going on. However, Spirit is definitely messing with me right in this particular moment. I just saw a finger come out and point in my face. Literally, boom. So, yay. Thank you, Spirit. I thank you so much for being here. Yeah, because I don't think they're done talking.
They're not.
No.
My ear's still ringing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not touching you.
Yeah. I'm not doing it. It's just
I don't
right
touch
here. I used to do that all the time. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. Oh my goodness, that is so funny. Yeah, it's interesting. It's like,
Noise, yeah.
even though we're speaking oh wow, okay, thank you. Even though we're speaking about the awareness of the signs that come in from Spirit and how to listen to them in the ways of 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about feeling into the subtleties and things of that nature. And there are a lot of people who on the earth in their human mind. When we do the debunking, and there's a lot of people who ask the questions, well, spirit mad because they didn't listen the first time. And I have to honestly tell you, wow, my heart is going 100 miles a minute. No, they aren't. They understand that humans have this guard when things come in and they're like, nope, that wasn't real, or no, I just need something stronger, or they are aware of this. The amount of energy it takes for them to move something and do something, it takes a lot of energy to do that. So what they do is by resonating that guitar string, the reverberations, the vibrations, and those little things that you do see, such as pebbles, or I don't know why I need to say pebbles, but pebbles and
It's relevant. Wait till I tell you what I'm getting right now.
the pebbles and the feathers and something to do with somebody has a glass somewhere in the audience that is moving. So that is what they're showing you. It can even be as simple as you go turn your light switch on and it's a brand new bulb and it just flickers one time and it's absolutely fine and there's nothing wrong. But that's how they're trying to gain your attention. Wow, this is heavy. And to let you know that they're there, especially when you're in their deepest time of need. And you may even feel the warm pressure on your back as if somebody is just touching you, but you might just go, oh, I'm having a hot flash. They want to be able, wow, thank you so much. They want to be able to let you know that the subtlety is all in the subtlety, and understanding that and accepting that and knowing they're doing the best that they can with the energy that they have to give you the messages that you need to know that they are there.
Mm-hmm. You know what they just showed me? They showed me their perspective. It was weird. You're talking, I'm like, and then you said pebbles. I'm like, no, that's what, okay. Okay. Because they showed me like everything's a blur, like a veil, like the Empress, the veil, or not Empress, the High Priestess, the veil. So what they see is not us. They see like this blur, and it's got this outward shell. And then on this shell surrounding us, we almost look like weebles.
Yes.
It's like this outward shell, and we're just minding our own business, right? But there's like little holes in the shell, and they're taking pebbles of information, like a carnival game, and trying to get it in the tiny hole. And sometimes it goes thunk, thunk, thunk. And sometimes it makes it in the hole and they're like, yes. And we're like, wait, did you just hear that?
Yeah, I had that here too.
Okay. But that was wild how I've never seen it from that perspective of how they actually see us. Yes. They don't see us like,
they're not. So basically, yes, we have our human form, but it's like that weeble wobble, like you said. It's this big energy ball, really, if you will. It's like it reminds me of when Linus is underneath his blanket from Charlie Brown.
Okay.
And he has the little two eye holes, but just expand that out away from the body.
Right.
And then they're just trying to get the messages through. So that's it's very similar to what you're saying, like, hey.
Wait for it, and oh, dang it. Okay, try it again. Maybe if I skip it in front of them, they'll trip over it.
Right.
And they'll see it.
Jane's Lane says, how do I know if it's a pebble from them or my mind put it in there? So it may not be a literal pebble. It may just be something in general, Right.
Yeah. Yeah. But that was wild how they've never shown me that before. And it's like I was looking through their eyes all of a sudden, and it was so crazy how I never ever thought of it like that. I just assumed they saw us like this, and they were like, nope, hi Lissa. They see this energy, and it's like we have this weird shell around us. It feels like a shell that has like the little holes and openings. Huh?
Think of it as the auric spiritual field is what they see. That's what they see, because like sees like, because the human body is at a different vibration. So they're going to see the higher vibration of our auric field slash higher dimensional self.
Yeah. So when people say like, but you're just so closed off from receiving information, it just means you've patched up all those holes, or you've locked it down where you can't, there's no access. So as mediums, what we're doing is we're punching holes in it and wanting that information to come in. Interesting. Wow, this is like crazy what they're showing me right now. This is crazy. I love it.
It freezes every 3 seconds. Uh-oh.
Oh, swipe out and come back in, see if that helps. Or it just could be, well, we've got some big, we got big entities here.
Yeah.
We've got big entities here. Like we didn't ask them, but they just, showed up.
Yep.
They
They
do
said,
sometimes.
how you feeling? Here's your sign.
I keep hearing a very high pitched sound and like whisper. Yep. That spirit going, pay attention.
It's the finger that was like, hey. Oh, look, I want to say thank you ahead of time because I am going to have to get off here. I got to get ready for work for tomorrow because I get 5 o'clock comes early. But thank you so much for having me on. I had a blast, and thank you for letting me talk. And I thank the guides and the things and all of the stuff. And I just want to say thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you. It was crazy because I was like not even thinking ahead on having anybody in, and then your name popped in my head, and I was like, I wonder what she's doing in 10 minutes.
I was just drawing. That's it. I was like, cool, yeah.
Yeah. So, but thank you. So if you guys are in here and you're not following Michelle, what are you doing with your lives? Follow me.
Okay, there it was. Did you hear the lady's voice?
Oh, yeah. On there?
Yes. On this. Did you just hear her voice?
Yes. It sounded like almost like a feedback or like
Yes.
a spirit box.
Yes.
This happened the other night when I was on live with Ben. And everybody in the chat was like, people who had headphones on were like, oh, there it is again.
So it's like every time I'm like, I want to go push to come off, and it's like all of a sudden there's like this, I hear like this whispering coming through. It's what's going on.
Interesting.
I said thank you.
Not me joining when you're both pointing at the screen. Here's your sign.
Right?
Wow.
Well, that's funny.
But you do.
But I do have to go, Spirit. I have to go. You'll have to just, Miss Lorenda is here. She can speak and you can still continue to conversate. I promise.
Yep.
Thank you so, so much.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Have a fantastic evening. I'm sure we'll do this again.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. I don't know how to get out, actually. How do I take this?
Yeah, you know what either. Hold on.
Okay, hold on. Hang on.
Just X out of the live.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. Okay, bye.
Okay. Mwah.
Bye.
Love her. Love her so much. Thank you. So what'd you guys learn? What'd you learn from our little chit chat? I know, I love her. She's like such an amazing soul. And we've had a couple sidebar conversations, and amazing soul. Very in tune with things. But wow, for those of you that were in here when she was channeling that information unexpectedly, I can't wait to go back and watch that. Oh, thank you for being on my team. New moon energy, I should be, that would explain why I'm so buzzy today. Didn't make it to hers back in the day. That's awesome. Yeah, there was a lot of information. That's cool that you're still hearing it. So I'm interested to go back to the replay. I'll go back and download the replay and then I'll upload it to my YouTube channel. So make sure you guys are like, follow me on YouTube, or the Schmooze Tube. Do we look like that because when we open, we close our space? Wait, I got to reread that. Just a thought. Oh, hi, Sheila. Just a thought. Do we look like that because when we open, close our space? I don't know. Yeah, the pitch is gone now. I don't, my ears stopped ringing. That was wild. So what'll happen is, in order to receive a message, Spirit will raise your vibration and change your frequency. The pebbles, the shells, the finger, the male, 808, all that means something to me. See, I'm telling you, Spirit will tell you. And Susan, I haven't seen you. Gosh, I haven't talked to you in a while. And you just like popped in. I'm like, oh, it's Susan. It is common to feel blocked during pregnancy. Oh, is it? I haven't heard from Spirit lately. It can. I think sometimes we get in our heads. I think sometimes I've had 3 kids and I didn't get any of this stuff until after. That's not true. I had it. I just didn't develop until after. No, we can receive. We can still receive. There's a medium that I like to follow. Her name's Crystal Miles. Oh shoot, I forget her full screen name. Oh, I forget her name. I'm drawing a blank, but she just had a baby and she's like, yep, I've met the baby. I've met the spirit that's going to be my child. And so, I mean, you can still receive messages, but sometimes we get so wrapped up in what's happening here that all of our energy gets focused in here and in creating that environment to protect the baby. So I'm sure everybody's just on their like different journey with that. I think sometimes our humanness just takes over when our body's changing so quickly and rapidly. And so pregnancy will do that. So maybe it just depends on where you were in your journey and all that. I had in my ear 2 times now, both times startled me. Thought it was my husband. Interesting. Yeah. And sometimes, oh, thank you. Sometimes I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, when you're doing work in development, whether it's a development circle or past life regression, or if you participate in something that's going to require you to connect to spirit somehow, or asking for spirit's help, whether it be hands-on Reiki, or like if you're doing something along those lines, it will adjust your vibration so you can receive messages more. And so I actually just had a really interesting conversation today with someone that I had done a QHHT on, and there was a lot of healing work done in her session, and lots of healing work. And she hadn't even listened to the recording, but she didn't remember like what all healing had been done. And she was telling me what all was just so strange that she was noticing, and she was getting messages and she was hearing things. It's because her vibration was so heightened from that energy work, that energy exchange, that she's now getting and understanding that these messages she's getting are legitimate. All these things happen after my past life regression with you. See? I always feel lightheaded when they are very close to me. Yeah. So, and that's just important to understand, like your guides are going to come through in a way that make you take notice. Okay. So yeah, Fleur, like you're after your past life regression, you're in that zone now. Like you're open up, you're in a place to be receiving. And that veil is thin, that shell is thinner. So you're able to have more of a energy exchange. Sorry, like I thought someone was yelling for me. Guess not. It sounded like I couldn't tell if it was my husband or my son. I said, blah, blah. And you're here for it. I know. So I know it's like, it's them. It's so loud. They're so loud. The way our house was made, you can tiptoe across. Lorenda. Yeah. But they don't call it, like my husband doesn't call me Lorenda. unless he's really trying to drive point to home or a point home. He actually calls me, my nickname is Ren. So when you're doing past life work, and I think he was talking to the dogs, honestly. I know, I don't think he was yelling for me. I was like, blah, blah. Because if he needed me, he won't yell for me because he can't hear me if I answer him. Hi, Reggie. Make sure you guys are following Reggie. He's awesome. But if he needed me, he'd come down and like talk to me because he couldn't hear me if I answered him. I could be down here on fire and he wouldn't hear me because he's like mostly deaf. So, hey, Laura, how are you? My friend. Good stuff. So yeah, when you do like the past life work, for instance, you're opening up those channels to receive and you're communicating with your higher self. So all this is opened up. Your crown chakra is open. And while I bring you out of it, there's still that work that's going to be done. And so you commit to, okay, well, so after this, like, where's the healing need to take place? Where is this, how's this, blah, blah, blah. And when you do like the longer version, even you're continuing the energy exchange with spirit as they heal you, as they remove past life energy, as they remove this stuff and replace it, as they're removing gunk, they're replacing it with love, light, and photonic light, right? So you don't feel empty and replace it with more toxic sludge. Okay. So that those channels stay open. So after you do like a past life regression, everything is open for a while, especially if you've done healing work. So because now you're just open for that energy exchange. Does that make sense? Oh, good to see you too, Susan. Love you so much. Mwah. Same after session with Sally and then you. Oh, that was weird. Is it the same after session with Sally? Yeah, yes, but it's usually even more heightened. So when Sally does a session with me, or when she does a session with a client and then sends them to me, it is insane. Like, it's usually way more effective because she's done a lot of the energy work, initial energy work, and removed a lot of that junk. And connected you in a different way. So by the time you come to me, whether it's virtually or in person, doesn't even matter. You're actually open to receive more information, and we're finding it's a lot more effective. And also, since she's been working on me this past 2 years, she did some like DNA activation. My brain was like, "This is the dumbest thing. This can't be real." And the activation of these junk DNA, whatever, my mediumship has, like, what I'm seeing, hearing, feeling, all the things, start seeing spirits. So it has made a big difference. I kind of know what's coming my way. I can almost finish people's sentences. And when I'm like, I wonder what happened with, all of a sudden I see what happened with a situation. So yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, the energy work is, prior to a QHHT session, has been astoundingly accurate. It's like crazy. It's been pretty cool. How do you see spirit? Is it a shape that you see or human features? Okay, so here's the thing about that. Up until recently, I've not seen. I would just see it in my mind's eye, and the spirit would always present as the person that they were here, even though I know that's not who they are now. That's how they would present. It's how the person that I'm reading for would recognize them. So that's how they present themselves. But recently, since doing this DNA activation stuff that I thought was garbage, just went along for the ride, I've started seeing, and I even had my eyes checked. I was like, okay, I'm getting older. Do I need to have my eyes checked? I should have my eyes checked. And I'm seeing random lights, but they look like orbs, and I'll just see orbs, like little random orbs. And they're very different from just like, oh, I'm seeing a flash of light in the corner of my eye. So I don't see the person, but when I see spirit, like if I'm doing regression work, I'll see them as like this interesting form, and they glow, and there's like this point of light. So if I'm on the other side while I'm being regressed, if I go to the other side, they look like human outlines, like people outlines, but not actual people. And everything is really white, but also they have a very specific color that's unique to them, and it comes from here. And that's how I know who it is. And it's weird that I know who it is, even though I don't know who it is. But we all are a color, a very unique to us color. It is cool. It's really amazing work to do. And actually, I'm going to be regressed on Wednesday again to do some of this, and we're going to record it. We're actually going to record the conversation with my higher self, and it'll be out on the YouTubes. So we'll have to let you guys know when it's out. It's pretty cool. Like it's cool being regressed. It's cool going through the whole thing. And every time she does it, like I level up. It's crazy. It's crazy. So, all right. Well, friends, I was only going to be on here for an hour, and now it's been almost 2. So, thank you all for hanging out, and I hope you all learned something. Show of hands if you learned something. But it was a fun chat, and I was really glad that Michelle was available for that. And to go, you have to make sure to again follow the link and go to find me on the tube of you, and because I will post this. I know, right? I don't think you've ever caught me live before. I haven't been going as live as often lately. I used to go live a lot, but with summer I just haven't, and everything else going on, I just have not. But I miss you, Laura. Laura's my son's godmama. And well, no, my daughter's godmother. Had that backwards. So I love you, friend. All right, I'm out of here. I'm glad you guys enjoyed. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it and learned something. And just remember, listen. Start listening. Start listening. Yeah. Oh yeah, you got your girl. You're welcome. All right. Have a good night, everybody. And I will talk with you all again soon. We'll do another one of these. And also, I have a class coming up on Wednesday. Check my website. There's a class I'm going to be teaching on Wednesday. I believe it's either Spirit Guides 101. I think it's Spirit or Tarot 101. I can't remember. I think it's Spirit Guides 101. So learn how to connect to your guides. Oh, here, I'll tell you. Hold on, let me look. I have it right here in front of me. Spirit Guides 101. So if you want to learn how to connect to your spirit guides, Wednesday, 7 to 9 Eastern time, you can just go to my website, the Schmink and Schmile. And it's not that much. It's only like $40, and it's a 2-hour class. You get access to the recording later about it too, but it's a very interactive, hands-on class of learning how to connect to and identify your spirit guides. So if you've always wanted to do that, check out my class. So, all right, cool. I'm going to go. Have a fantastic night, everybody. Mwah. Spirit be with you. Okay. Bye.